Welcome, welcome, welcome! I haven't did an IG live in a minute. I am super excited about this one. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I'm gonna give you a second to log on. You know the deal. It's been a good minute. Take a deep breath. You already know I'm nosy. If you're logging on, I wanna know where you're logging on from, what's going on. I got the vagina doc. I got everybody coming on. I'm going to try to wave at everyone, but as you log on, please tell me where you're logging in from, what part of the world. We're talking all things fibroids, baby. I know you're going to have questions. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you a little bit later. Make sure you put your questions in the questions box. We have Miss LaToya Dwight coming on. Hey, Vagina Doc. We're talking everything fibroids. So like I said, okay. South Carolina in the house. There's a little circle at the bottom with a question mark in there. That's for the questions. Okay, Buffalo, New York, East Coast time, 7:30. I'm over here in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's only 5:30 here, so we're early in the evening. Hey, hey. I'm seeing a lot of my Fit fam, a lot of my people. Get those questions ready. We have got LaToya coming on from the Fibroid Pandemic, and baby, we jumping into the healing journey. We about to level up and get your healing journey taken to the next level as well. We got the endometriosis dietitian, Alicia. We got all the people, everybody. Let's see if Miss LaToya is here. I'm gonna send her a quick invite. Like I said, I haven't done an IG live in a good minute, but I'm excited. I'm excited. Let's see here. Please, fibroid. You're probably... Perfect. All right. Like I said, and before we get started, I know there's going to be questions. You can put them in the comments, but if you really want to get those questions answered, there's a questions box at the bottom, a little circle with the question mark. Start hitting us with the questions now because the Q&A is going to be real. I'm all things endometriosis, but we got the fibroid pandemic in the house, and she is all things fibroids. And I know if you don't know, now you know, fibroids and endometriosis, they're like cousins. And I hate to say that. So this partnership is definitely going to be something you're going to want to take advantage of. Let's do some intros. I am Dr. L.J. Johnson, the holistic endo expert. I specialize in everything women's health, specifically when it comes to endometriosis, PCOS, and fibroids. It took me 16 years. Okay, I see that badge. Money coming. Come on now.
All right.
Let it happen.
I love it.
I specialize in everything endometriosis, PCOS, and fibroids, specifically endometriosis, as it took me 16 years. Yes, 16 years to get properly diagnosed. And so this is my passion. This is my baby. And as we're speaking about passion, I know Miss LaToya is just a little bit passionate about some fibroids as well. So I'm going to have her do an introduction, and we're going to kind of delve in because, like I said, I've been MIA from Instagram, but my girl been MIA as well. And so we're going to give you some updates on her healing journey and what the fibroid pandemic is going to be bringing to you in 2023.
Oh my gosh. LJ, first and foremost, thank you for having me. You know, it's been an amazing, interesting, scary, eye-opening journey over the past year or so. Hi, Donna. Hi, Mrs. here today. Hey, honey. You know, I will tell you that for starters, thanks for having me, hon. I really appreciate it. I know there's a million things you could be doing tonight. So thank you for being here with me. My name is LaToya Dwight, and I am the founder, the proud founder of the Fibroid Pandemic. And I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a friend. I'm a dope-ass auntie.
Okay.
And I am an employee benefits consultant, and I'm also thriving with uterine fibroids.
Ooh. I just want to pause that she said I'm thriving. She didn't say I was suffering. I didn't hear another down day with fibroids. What I heard is I'm thriving with fibroids. So I just want people to tell us right now in the comments, how many of you have endometriosis, possibly have fibroids, or you have, fibroids? Let me know whether you're thriving or not. If you're not thriving, this is definitely for you. If you're thriving, this is still
definitely for you.
Yes. If you know somebody struggling with fibroids and needs some support, go ahead and hit the arrow, share it over, copy the link, put it in your stories, and get them in here. So I really want to start at the beginning of your journey.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes we tell our stories, and some of you are new to our channels, you're new to what we got going on, fibroids and PCOS Thriver. Okay, baby, that's what I'm talking about. We thriving. I love it. So take us back to the very beginnings. Take us back to 1985.
Hey.
Yes. Take us back to the beginning of that journey for you.
So I'm going to take you back to the beginning of my fibroid diagnosis journey.
Yes.
I was actually diagnosed by fluke. At the time, my now husband, he and I were dating, and we were exclusive, and we both agreed that we did not want to have an unplanned pregnancy. So me knowing that I was not the perfect candidate to take the oral pill because I forget, I travel a lot. So what I did was I went and got the Mirena IUD. After a certain number of years, the IUD needs to be replaced. So I went to go get the IUD replaced, and my OBGYN, I'm just going to call her Dr. Smith for now. I was going to her for about 12 years, and she couldn't find the IUD. So she asked if I took it out, and I was like, wait, what? I don't know many people could take out an IUD, but no, I definitely did not do that. So she sent me the ultrasound, and this is all within the same exact doctor visit. So she sent me down the ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech, they did a topical ultrasound, didn't see anything. So they did a vaginal ultrasound, and they were able to locate the IUD right there front and center. Okay. So with quote unquote good bedside manners, the tech says to me, hey, how are your fibroids coming along? And I go, what's that? She's like, you can literally, LJ, you can see on her face, she was mortified.
They know when they messed up.
Right. She knew that she screwed up, and she knew at that very moment that I had no idea what fibroids were or that I even had them on my uterus. So she's like very, like just kind of standoffish. Well, I'll let you talk to the doctor about it. So I put my clothes back on, get inside the doctor's office. Again, remember, this is all within the same exact doctor's visit. So I get back in there with the doctor, and I go, yeah, so the tech was saying something about these things called fibroids. I don't understand what's going on. So the doctor's very cavalier. She goes, oh yeah, so we did see some fibroids on the ultrasound. I'd recommend you get a hysterectomy. Almost verbatim. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, hold up, time out. I literally came here to get my IUD replaced. Anyone who knows about IUDs, you're literally in and out within 10 minutes. It's very, very quick. It's not even a procedure. And so the doctor says to me, well, I mean, you know, it's just a hysterectomy. You'll be back on your feet in no time. I go, well, hold on. So as a professional employee benefit consultant, I've been in the employee benefit space for 23 years, in which I specialize in negotiating business-to-business contracts with insurance carriers on behalf of employers. So any company that has anywhere between 100 to 500, 5,000, 10,000, I've actually dealt with negotiating, being on the front line, negotiating those multi-million-dollar contracts with insurance companies, including Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, MetLife, you name it. I've been on the front line with them. So I said that to say that I know that a hysterectomy is a major surgery.
Correct.
So, I mean, obviously technology has, by leaps and bounds grown drastically over the few years. However, at that time when I was initially diagnosed, I said, well, I know a hysterectomy is a major surgery. So, I mean, let's kind of talk about that because I don't feel comfortable with it. So I told her, I said, I don't want to do that. It's not for me. Let's just kind of focus on the IUD for now. And I just kept asking her questions and probing for answers because I still never knew what fibroids were. And she was getting a little bit frustrated, should I say. And she said to me, well, because I kept saying, well, what are they? I mean, I don't understand why you're recommending a hysterectomy. I feel fine. I don't know what it physically feels like to be in need of a hysterectomy. I know that I did not feel sick, so to speak. Right. So she told me that fibroids were like kudzu. You cut them away and they'll just grow right back. So that's why I recommend a hysterectomy. And for me, being someone in the health industry, for you to compare my womb to weeds that grow outside, that did not fare well with me. So I was adamant. No, I'm not doing this. That does not work for me. So literally from entering to her office, again, remember, this is all within one doctor's visit. So by the time I left, not only did I receive a diagnosis of having fibroids, but also the recommendation to have a hysterectomy. I was very adamant about it. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And my then boyfriend, who's now my husband, I remember very vividly when I got in the car, I called him and I said, you know, the doctor says I have these things called fibroids. And he's like, well, what's that? And I couldn't really answer the question. And so that added a lot of extra stress and anxiety and frustration that I wasn't really ready for. Because remember, I just got this diagnosis literally within the past 20 minutes. So, you know, I get home and he's kind of looking at me sideways like, what you got? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't even really articulate or even explain it. So me being type A personality, I went full force, head deep, knee deep, and doing my own personal research. I did yoga, qigong. I went vegan, vegetarian. I actually did it backwards. I went vegan first, then vegetarian. I did the whole eat for your blood type of diet. I did just about everything that I knew to do, and I eventually settled on having uterine fibroid embolization. But a week after that doctor appointment, can you believe they actually called me and said, hey, LaToya, let's go ahead and get you scheduled for the hysterectomy. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I literally told this doctor that I did not want to have this surgery. And for you all to go as far as calling me to schedule me, not only am I taken aback, not only is that rude, it's very inconsiderate. I felt like I wasn't being heard. And I felt like I was just out on the island by myself. So after doing research, I eventually had uterine fibroid embolization, UFE, which that's an in and out procedure, out within the same day. It took me probably between prepping and whatever, maybe about 5 hours. The actual procedure itself took no time. I was back on my feet within a couple days, probably fully back to normal, able to get back into the gym within a couple weeks. So for me, I didn't lose any time, you know, at all. And it worked for me. Now, I understand that UFE may not work for everybody, but that was the decision that I made based on several different reasons outside of having a darn hysterectomy.
Okay, so I just want to circle all the way back to the beginning of how I feel like you were just haphazardly diagnosed. Like you said, you went in for one thing, and many of us can relate. I'd love to see in the comments. I will say once again, if you have questions, there's a little circle and there's a question mark in there. Put it in the question mark if you can. I'll try to scroll through the comments, but let us know in the comments. Have you ever been in and maybe went in for one thing and then found out a bunch of other stuff? I also want to circle back is how it was just almost like dismissed, like no big deal. You know, there was no options, there was no education. And a lot of us can, you know, recognize this, right? Or relate. There was no education. There was no, you know, anything to advocate for yourself, to empower you, to give you options. It was more like, this is your problem. Sounds like a womb wellness issue. You know what? We're going straight to the extreme of removing all of your female parts. And I have to be very honest, for Black and brown women, that is something we see all the time. I've been to my own appointments where that was the first and only option. And then when I gave pushback, it was kind of like, oh, well, then I guess you just don't want to be better. And it's like, well, I do want to be better. I don't even understand what's going on, number one. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about in that story, like telling us what are fibroids, because maybe someone's listening right now and they're kind of like, hey, I can relate. I've seen that in the comments. I can relate. I've got a diagnosis. I don't even know what's really going on. I maybe jumped on some birth control. Maybe I scheduled a procedure, not really sure, you know, what's what. So let's talk about what actually are fibroids, and then maybe some of the options. And I want to keep in mind that surgery may not be the option for everyone, but sometimes that can still be part of your healing journey. It doesn't mean that you can't do natural or holistic. But I just want to put that in because I know some people are very like poo-poo against surgery, or surgery is the only way. And I want you to open up your heart, open up your little mind that surgery can be part of a holistic healing journey.
Yeah, and you know, so to take a step back, and I did see a young lady say, I think that's Carolyn Michelle. Hey, hon, thanks so much for joining. They told her the same thing. I mean, it's really sad. I see new to this 12 says, can you speak more to UFE? So to take a step back, uterine fibroids are non-cancerous tumors of the uterus. They can vary from the size of a tiny little pea, walnut, plum, orange, melon, watermelon. For me, my two largest were 7 centimeters, and that's about the size of a grapefruit, and then 11 centimeters, which is about the size of a small melon. So for me, my stomach would protrude, especially after we got married. People automatically just assume I was pregnant, which I wasn't. So a lot of the symptoms, and people, a lot of people out there, and I have to say people with the uterus, because at one point I said women and I was attacked, which for me, that was just really heartbreaking, but I'm not even going to go there, right? That's a different conversation. But for the sake of the conversation, I'm going to say people. So people with the uterus, they usually will experience things like menorrhagia, which is basically heavy and or prolonged menstrual cycles. I know a young lady I used to speak with on a regular basis. She was in her 30s. Her cycle lasted probably about 15, 20 days, to a point to where she had to go get, blood transfusions, even so seriously to where the people at the emergency room even knew her by first name, which is really sad. So menorrhagia, also things like lethargy, acne, getting really bad breakouts because your hormones are out of whack, hair loss and or stagnation. Your hair just may not grow, your nails breaking. And the reason why is because when you lose a lot of blood, you can become anemic, which actually affects your hair, skin, and nails. For me, lethargy was a huge thing. I didn't realize that my exhaustion, every day I would come home from work, my son and my husband, well, at the time when he and I were dating, almost every single day, LJ, that I got home, he would say, "How was your day?" And I would just say, "I'm so tired. I'm so tired." And I remember one day we kind of got to like a heated discussion. He's like, you just need to suck it up. And I was like, what? So I literally started drinking 5-hour energy drinks because I didn't understand what was going on with and this was before I even received the diagnosis. So, lethargy was critical. And I just chopped it up to the fact, number one, I was working 2 jobs and I was going to school full time at night while I was still raising my son. And the fact I was getting older, I was well into my 30s at the time when I received the diagnosis. So I just figured it was because I was getting older, rather than taking time to really, press the pause button and really pull back the layers and figure out what's going on with my body. I just kept trekking on as normal. So those are some of the most common symptoms. Also pica. Pica is a huge symptom of having uterine fibroids. Because of the loss of blood, you'll develop pica because of the loss of nutrients and all that. So there's so many other symptoms, but those are going to be some of the most common symptoms. Usually you can be diagnosed by receiving an ultrasound, but one of the most accurate, let me take a step back. There's 3 ways you can be diagnosed with fibroids: by a vaginal examination, also by an ultrasound, and or the most accurate is going to be by MRI. MRI is going to be the most accurate way to receive a fibroid diagnosis. And yes, ice cravings is a form of pica. So yeah, that's spot on. That's why you may see, like, one of my cousins, she carries a huge cup, about 30 ounces in her car every day, all day, and just eats ice all day. She can tell you where the closest gas station that has the best ice because she has such a huge craving for ice. And that's because of the anemia. So.
And I want to add in that everyone's symptoms are different. Just because, and I want to do 2 things. Just because you have fibroids doesn't mean you're going to have all of these symptoms. Maybe you have no symptoms at all, and it's more silent. But this is the thing. I want to also say, I hate when we do the watch and wait. I personally have never had the fibroids. I've never had a fibroid journey. I've dealt with the endometriosis diagnosis that took me 16 years. But the watch and wait is the hugest thing that I always want to just like scream from the mountaintops. This is the thing. The watch and wait doesn't really pan out, because what happens is something that, we're told in 2010, then you don't check on it till 2015, maybe 2018, you're in pain, you have painful sex 2020, and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll look at them, right? And that pea-sized fibroid is now a melon, is now a grapefruit, is now something else. So if you are doing the watch and wait, here's the thing. I do not want you to operate in fear, but be vigilant. This is your body. Your doctor is not going to be thinking about your uterus every night. I'm sorry. They're not going to be thinking about it once a year. It is your responsibility. You need to advocate for yourself. Put it on your calendar. Make sure that you're checking in. Make sure you have a follow-up appointment. So a lot of you may have a diagnosis and you're kind of doing the watch and wait. And like LaToya, she had no idea that she had fibroids. Like she said, if you're just joining, she went in for a routine IUD, a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I should have been on out of there. And then it's like, oh, by the way, you've got 2 grapefruits and a melon. Fibroid, let's yank out your uterus. And so I really want to be
proactive in letting you know that you need to be really watching what's going on with your body. You need to advocate for yourself. And if you're doing the watch and wait and you have fibroids, I would love for LaToya to even speak into that. Like, what would have happened if you would have just did the watch and wait? What if you just would have went in and they told you and you did nothing? Like, where do you think your health would be right now?
Well, for one, I would say watch and wait does nothing but simply leave you stagnant, right? Now, it's not a bad thing until it becomes a bad thing. And usually by the time it becomes a bad thing, it's already too late. So to your point, watching and waiting, what that really means is you don't have to do anything about the fibroids if they're not really giving you any trouble. That's what watching and waiting means. However, by the time they start giving you trouble, it's probably already way far gone. So, you know, for me, if someone does decide they don't want to do anything about it, that's your prerogative, but you want to be vigilant. To your point, you know, like, for example, watch what you eat. Diet is critical. I mean, you probably see me right here, right now, about to drink my ABC juice. I literally juice this at home in my kitchen on a regular basis. Those who know me know that I love juicing. I actually posted something about it recently, but I mean, really, really paying attention to what you eat. The diet is probably way more than half of the battle, because what can happen is you can have fibroids removed and other fibroids can grow. So that doesn't mean that I just sit here and watch and wait and watch you have to be very vigilant and understand how diet can truly impact your hormonal imbalance as well as fibroids. For example, dairy. I mean, that should be one of the furthest things from your diet as a whole. It has so many hormones in it. That can actually be a whole different type of IG live right there by itself.
We're going to come back and talk about all things nutrition. So I love the juicing, but what if someone's on here right now and they're like, what are 3 things? If you could go back and be like, these are 3 things that I started on my journey that turned my health around. Because I just want to say, in the beginning, you said you were thriving. Let's talk to some of the people that are maybe not thriving. They're not feeling it. They want to know, what are 3 things that they could start doing today to turn their health around when it comes to fibroids?
Number 1, again, diet. Watch what you're eating. Remove dairy, and I know this is going to sound so strict, but it's probably a lot easier than what people believe it to be. Remove dairy, remove fried foods. That's critical. And sugar. I mean, all the processed foods has a ton of sugar in it, has a ton of sodium in it. I mean, all the drinks that we drink, the food that we eat, a lot of the dressings and toppings, sugar is literally latent in all of that stuff. So really minimize and or eliminate sugar as well. So diet's going to be number 1. Number 2, I would say learn your family history. After my fibroid diagnosis, I started having conversations with my family members. And I actually realized, oh my God, my mother had fibroid surgery, but back then they called it tumor surgery. My 3 or 4 close aunties had fibroids. My mother-in-law, she had fibroid surgery. My husband's godmother had fibroid surgery. So literally, it's like after I started talking about my diagnosis, it's like Pandora's box just opened up. 4 of my really close friends are dealing with fibroids as we speak. 2 of them actually had a procedure done. My sister, my 2 of my nieces, like it's literally like the sky opened up. I'm like, oh my goodness. So start having conversations. I mean, we talk about everything else, right? We talk about our hair and we talk about, you know, how our bodies are starting to change. Just have a conversation. Girl, how your period coming along? Because girl, my bloating has been off the chain. You know, my stress levels, my hair. Just start opening up those conversations and you will be amazed about how much in common you have with others who are also suffering. There's what I call, and I hate this phrase, but it's so true. It's called suffering in silence, silent suffering. The majority of people who have fibroids suffer in silence. And what does that look like? That literally looks like me. I would go, and I told myself I was not going to get emotional. It got to a point to where I was packing extra clothes for work. Black pair of pants, extra pair of underwear, just in case I have an accident. And like for me, you know, I wasn't talking to anybody about it because let me take a step backwards. When I received the fibroid diagnosis, my symptoms were nothing outside the ordinary, because I didn't have bad periods. I could not relate to anyone who had bad menstrual cycles. It's almost like the floodgates open about 3 to 6 months after my diagnosis. That's when all hell broke loose. My menstrual cycles were off, just ridiculous, uncontrollable, wearing, tampon, a super pad, and I had to start bringing an extra pair of clothes because I was suffering in silence. When I had accidents, I would suffer in silence and come home. And even I think when I told my my now husband about it, he never noticed it. He's like, wait, what? So again, getting back to the 3 things: your diet, have conversations with people in your family about what's going on, because you'll be amazed at the type of support system you'll have out there, but you'll also be amazed at how many answers you're able to get just by having open conversations. And then number 3, do your due diligence. Dr. Google is there for a reason. Google's good, but also start having conversations and go to get a second opinion, third opinion. I don't care if you get third or fourth opinion. Continue meeting with doctors until you feel that you have met someone who is able to answer all of your questions, because all of my questions were not initially answered at all. I felt like I was on an island by myself, but you really want to be able to feel comfortable with someone. When I had my UFE, after I had that consultation, because I think I did 4 consultations with different doctors, for different procedures, when I eventually had UFE, when I left that doctor visit, they said to me, you didn't really need us. They said, we can tell you did your research. We didn't really answer any of your questions. You already knew. I'm like, yeah, but I just kind of want, I needed that extra professional, assurance. So those would be the 3 things I would say. Number 1, your diet. Number 2, have conversations. And number 3, do your research and have as many opinions, see as many doctors as you can, as you feel you need to, until you feel that you've gotten all your questions answered.
That's a whole word right there. But those 3 things can be pivotal on your healing journey. So now I want to fast forward a little bit, right? So that is where the fibroid pandemic came. I know that we connected. I feel like it was forever ago. I feel like we connected maybe a couple of years ago. We were very active on Instagram, and then I got to say it. I felt like you were gone. I don't know what happened to you, right? You were there, then you were gone. So tell us a little bit about what was happening. Were you off traveling? Were you on a sabbatical? Were you on a healing journey? Like, kind of give us the updates. We're nosy. This is Instagram. We want to be all up in your business. All up in it.
All of the above. All of the above. I had a medical setback that was unrelated to uterine fibroids. Still to this day, I don't quite know what it was. It was scary as hell, extremely scary, to a point to where my husband asked, do you not think you're going to be here? And my answer was, I don't know. I started having fainting spells, random, just literally random. We'll be on the couch after dinner watching television, and I'll just start feeling really weird, like a sensation almost over my body, and I would just like pass out. My husband had to call 911. Ambulance came, and between May of 2022 and maybe about July of 2022, I think we probably had to call the ambulance about 2 or 3 times to my home. Call the paramedics. believe twice I was transported, I believe. I don't even remember. And maybe 1 or 2 times they just left. And then I started developing heart palpitations. Thought I was having heart attacks. And it would just come out of nowhere. Thankfully, I was at home probably 90% of the time when it happened, and I was not alone. We thought I was having heart attacks, and I had to start going to a cardiologist. This is someone who, if you know me personally, I'm the healthy friend. I work out regularly. I used to be a personal trainer years ago, not anymore because I hated it. But and I said I wasn't gonna cry. but I'm the healthy friend. I work out. I don't eat any fried foods. I might still a French fry off your plate every now and then. I'm very cognizant and very critical about what I eat, what I allow into my body. And so it was scary as hell. And I felt like my body betrayed me. I'm like, how and why is this happening? Like, I'm that healthy friend, right? And so I started going to a cardiologist. I had to wear a heart monitor for 30 days. Didn't come off morning, noon, night, take showers with it and everything. Every time I would have a certain feeling or a symptom, I would have to press the button for to send a message to them. And then I started developing tremors, and all of this started to happen gradually. It was an accumulation. So the fainting spells, and then the heart palpitations, and it was all just like one adding on to another. And I legit thought I was not going to be here. And that's the reason why I ended up postponing my 5K run walk last year, because I couldn't do it. I just physically, I could not do it. So what I had to do was focus on getting right, focus on getting my body back healthy. And the last symptom that I developed was tingling sensations in my hands and in my extremities. I had a brain CT scan. I had an MRI of the pelvis, of the midsection. I had, again, the heart monitor placed. I had blood work done. I did just about every test you can think of. And again, being in insurance, I'm like, I want this test, I want that test, you know. And again, advocating for myself. And the diagnosis I got was sinus tachycardia, which is simply heart palpitations. And I'm like, I know I got heart palpitations. That's why the hell I'm coming to you. So needless to say, I never received a diagnosis other than that. They said they believe it could have been anxiety. I've never had anxiety before. I don't believe I know anyone who has. If I do, I don't recall. So I said that to say I don't know a lot about anxiety. If it was anxiety, I tell you one thing, I got a newfound respect for that bitch. I got a newfound respect for her, because it got to my worst point was when I wasn't really speaking as much. I lost probably 8 pounds in like 9 days or something like that. And my husband was like, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, he's like, do you not think you're going to be here? And I was like, I don't know. That's how scary it got in my household. It got really scary and really dark. And I started to do the work. I'm a Christian. A lot of people may know, some people may not know, but I am a Christian. I do have a potty mouth at times.
Oh, I love Jesus, and I'll drop an F-bomb at the same time in the same sentence, and I'm gonna still keep it 100. It just is what it is. I love the Lord, but don't try Jesus, but don't try me. There
exactly. So I started to do the work. I got really, really deep into my word. And I started to I dug really deep into my positive affirmations. And I don't know if you guys ever heard, but there's this guy I follow on YouTube called Wim Hof. And I started doing like his breathing techniques. And when I tell you, that has helped me tremendously. I went deep. I went real deep, y'all. I went real deep with doing the mental work, doing the emotional work. And because I felt like I had to dig myself out by myself. I felt like no matter how many doctor's appointments I had, no matter how many tests they did, they just weren't giving me what I needed. They would literally call me and just read the results. I don't know what the hell all these HDLs and TSLs and all of it. I don't know what that means. And it's like, wait, time out. can you explain to me what, like I had to pull myself out of it by myself. And, you know, hindsight is 2020. I don't know what I would have done differently, but I do know that what I am doing differently now is just staying focused on my mental and emotional well-being more so than what I used to do. I mean, I would do positive affirmations. I would pray regularly, right? But now it has become more of a just a habit. It's part of my virtue. It's part of what I do now. And I find myself doing it midday, mid-morning, any time of day, doesn't matter where I am. Oh, Jack be nimble, she's so sweet. Yeah, but I felt like I had to really, really pull myself out. And one thing I learned from that is that you can never take anything for granted. You know, we say, okay, girl, I'll talk to you tomorrow, or I'll call you tomorrow, or yeah, let's go ahead and put that lunch date on our calendar next weekend. I'll get a babysitter. So I'm very intent on, I'm very intent with who I spend my time with and how I spend that time. When my girlfriend says, hey girl, let's do dinner, you know, come over to the house, let's just do it today, you know, or what are you guys doing this weekend rather than next month? So that has been such a paradigm shift for me. I tell my husband, I tell my friends, if my family came down, because I ended up postponing my 5K run walk last year. It was supposed to have been in July, but my family still came down in July. And when I tell you, that was such it was the energy that I needed. It was such a reinvigoration of just having family here, because I was born and raised in upstate New York. I don't have a lot of family down here in Atlanta, Georgia. My friends are my family. My husband doesn't have any family at all. And I come from a huge, uber large family. So just having them here for a couple of days, when I tell you, it energized me in a way I never even knew could happen. And I'm just so grateful. My birthday was in September. And I told my husband, I said, I want to have a birthday party. He's like, you do? Because normally I just want to go to dinner. I don't want to do, you know. And I had a birthday party. I called it Purple Rain. So everybody dressed in purple. And when I tell you, I had the best time of my life. I was so grateful just for having my friends here, my family here. Because, LJ, I tell you, your girl, I thought I was checked out. It's so scary when you're sitting there and your heart rate is at 160 and they're looking at you like, what the hell you been doing? I'm like, I just been sitting on my couch. A resting heart rate should be anywhere between 60 to 100 or 80 to 100. Resting, my heart rate was at 190. I'm sorry, excuse me, 160. Resting, doing absolutely nothing.
And that's high. I was just at the gym today and I was looking at I was at a 185 in a sprint. Right. And that was after a sprint of 90 seconds. So for some of you, you're like, that ain't bad. No, baby, that's running a marathon, right?
It's running a marathon
on the couch.
And even like another thing that frustrated me is like when the EMS came one time, because in this particular situation, it was late at night. My husband and I probably went to dinner or something. We're home, you know, relaxed, about to go to bed. And I started again getting this really weird feeling. And it's like, when I can tell when it's about to happen. And so I literally have it anywhere between 10 seconds to about 30 seconds before it happens, right? And I told my husband I'm about to pass out. And I didn't have any clothes at the time. I just got out of the shower. And so when the EMS got here, they came upstairs in my bedroom. And he had to put some underwear on me because I didn't have any underwear, and put my house coat to tie me up. And the EMS lady, I'll never forget that she said to me, well, she looked at my age, because I'm 48. I'm not afraid to say it. And she said, well, it's probably just your hormones. Because I explained to her the feeling that I get when I'm about to pass out. I start to get really hot, like as if it literally starts from like my feet all the way up. I'm about to pass. I feel like a tea kettle, and I'll pass out. I can feel it coming. And it's like someone's taken the light switch and turning it down very, very slowly. And she goes, well, your 48 is probably just your hormones. I said, listen, because after it happens, I'm so exhausted. Like I literally have to sleep for hours, just exhausted. And I said to her, I said, listen, if it is my hormones, I'm okay with that. I said, I'm very self-aware enough to know that I'm getting older, not a spring chicken. I said, but this is not just a random hot flash. I haven't started getting hot flashes yet. I do get night sweats, but I said, this is not that. I don't know what it is, but it's not that. And like, to me, that was so, it wasn't offensive. The fact that it was probably due to hormonal imbalance, that was not the part that was offensive to me, because I'm well aware of my age. Mm-hmm. What was offensive is just her being dismissive.
Right.
Like, oh, you just had a hot flash. Bitch, we're not calling the ambulance because of a darn hot flash. Trust me, right. Something's going on. And in this particular situation, I was also vomiting at the same time. So, you know, I'm still going for testing. A friend of a friend who works at a cardiologist's office said that there's some new diagnosis out there that kind of taps on a lot of these symptoms that I said that I was having, as far as passing out when I get hot and puking up. It's not a, you know, someone was saying it's probably a really bad migraine. Like, it's not a migraine. Trust me, I know when a migraine's coming on. Mm-hmm. I probably had 2 or 3 migraines in my entire life. But anywho, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. But at my birthday party, you know, my husband's like, you know, hey, thank you guys for coming. You want to say something? I was like, I said, you know, I got one word. I am grateful. I'm grateful. Grateful, grateful, grateful. And that's the only word I can really find. Grateful, because by the grace of God, am I able to sit here with you all mm-hmm. and explain this to you? By the grace of God, am I able to share my journey, share my story, but also share my knowledge, share what I've learned over the years of going through this fibroid journey. And I call it a journey because I have not stopped. There are still fibroids on my uterus, but they do not control how I operate. I'm a bad bitch, okay? And when I tell you that I'm going to go to the end of the world, end of the earth, to make sure that I'm good and that my family's good and that my community is good, that's exactly what I do. When I say something, you have my word. My word is my bond. And I see a young lady, Goddess Z, says, this just happened to her 4 days ago. Wow. Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah, I mean, I'm still going through that journey. Mm-hmm. That's unrelated to the fibroids. So I would just say, continue your journey. If you find out anything, girl, please let me know. But it's a scary situation. It's like you're literally watching your life flash in front of you. Because like I said, I can tell when it's coming on. I can tell it's about to happen. I would say, I'm about to pass out. Like, clear it away, make sure I don't hurt myself, and just help me. Like, do not leave me by my side. It's very scary. But it hasn't happened since probably August. Okay. It hasn't happened since August. I'm happy by that. And, you know, I had to take time to just really continue pouring into myself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I'm probably at a point in my life to where I feel like I'm unbreakable, if that makes sense. Not to get too, you know, I don't want to get too out there or too over myself or anything like that. But when I say unbreakable, to a sense to where, you know, I know it's nothing but God that has me where I am right now. Mm-hmm. And God is the one that leads me every step I take in my life. Not to be all political. I'm sorry, not political, but not to be all religious on anyone who's not into that, and that's fine, but that's my life, and that's how I choose to live my life.
Right. Right. And it's that higher power, whatever it may be. I mean, I too am a Christian. You know, some people like it, lump it. Some probably just unfollowed me because I said it. Here's the thing, right? I mean, when you've been knocking on death's door, you know, I've been in ICU not once, not twice, but 3 times for 6 or 7 weeks, dying, right? And so something recently happened and someone was just like, well, you're just too into yourself. I'm like, baby, when you almost died 2 years ago, that brings a whole different level of confidence and energy. So if this near-death experience makes me too confident, then I guess that's just what I'm going to be, right?
It does.
But Yes, it does. It changes you. It absolutely changes you. So now that you are back, and let me just say too, my girl said I'm a bad bitch. Now realize she did not wait for someone to encourage her. She encouraged herself. So I feel like that's going to be a whole nother IG live. We may need to do a podcast about that. We sometimes have to encourage ourselves. I know during that story, maybe you don't have endometriosis, maybe you don't have fibroids, but some part of that story touched you. 20 of you are still here, so at least we know we're not talking to ourselves. We would love to hear how we can support you. So now that you're back, I'm guessing the race is up and running this year. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I am super duper excited. So I am the curator, the race director of Run F.A.R 5K. It's a double entendre. Run F.A.R means I'm going to go to extra length with you. I'm going to lock arms. We're going to go across that finish line, that 5K run walk. F.A.R is an acronym for Fibroid Awareness and Resources. When I went through one of my coaching programs a couple years ago, a conversation came up like, well, aren't there any runs or races or walks for fibroids, right? If you think of Susan G. Komen, the pink ribbon, you automatically know breast cancer. There's nothing out there for endometriosis, nothing out there that's as prominent, right? For fibroids or PCOS. So I developed my own 5K. In the middle of a pandemic in 2021, I had my first annual, my inaugural Run F.A.R 5K right here in the Atlanta, Georgia area in Powder Springs, which is about a half hour northwest of the city. Probably about 6 to 8 weeks before the actual race took place, I had maybe 20 or so registrants. And basically, I was told that you may want to kind of postpone this or make it kind of like a meet and greet craft fair. And I go, you don't know me too well, honey. I went to overdrive, girl. I ended up getting so many sponsors. I ended up getting a lot of people who, you know, supported and came out. My very first run, my very first 5K in the middle of a pandemic. My first one, you're lucky if you get 50. And usually that's going to be all your friends and family and your neighbors, right? My very first one, I got about 140 registrants.
That's amazing.
So for me, that was huge because my first one and in the middle of a pandemic, it's unheard of, you know. I postponed last year, obviously, but I'm doing it this year. The second annual is going to be on the third Saturday of July. So Saturday, July 15th. Yes, the 15th is the third Saturday. Right here at Still Family Farm in Powder Springs, Georgia. It's very unique. What I love about the venue, it's on a private family farm. It's over 50 acres. You get off the beaten pavement, right? We already know July is a hot month, and the hottest month of the darn year. July just so happens to be Fibroid Awareness Month. That's the reason why I'm doing it during that month. But this is on a family farm where it's like a trail. It is shaded. We start at 8 o'clock in the morning and you are gone by 12 noon. So you're not going to be beaten down by the sun. You're not going to be out there about to pass out all day long. My very first year, my 3 largest sponsors that I got was the Honey Pot, Radio 1 Atlanta, and New York Life Insurance Company. And when I tell you, I was amazed myself just by reaching out, sending emails, reaching out, picking up the phone. And I mean, they responded. So this year, my goal is to double the participation and to double the sponsors. So the link will be out in a couple of weeks, actually. So you guys, follow me. Feel free to tell a friend and tell a friend.
Yes.
And then come back and be on the lookout for it. That's right.
Absolutely, save the date. And you said it was hot, but I'm like, I don't know. It gets to about 120, 125 here in Arizona. I may actually come on down July 15th and cool down.
I would love that. I would love it. I would love to have
I may have to go ahead and do it. You said some shade. I'm like, yeah, I can go ahead and come on down there and cool down. I am super excited. So save the date, July 15th. More information. So couple of housekeeping things. Clearly, you are following us already on Instagram because you're with us. Make sure you add us to your favorites. Tons of amazing content coming through. Miss LaToya is back in action.
I am back
in action. And so look for transitions in the account. I've already seen gems coming through, dropping information. Get ready to be educated, empowered, and motivated when it comes to managing fibroids. Like we said, surgery may or may not be part of your healing journey, but at the end of the day, we have a story. My story is all about endometriosis. LaToya is all about fibroids. And so that is the fibroid pandemic. So I am loving everything. Now I'm going to try to scroll all the way back. I feel like maybe a gazillion messages ago, there was maybe a question. I'm trying to find your question, girl. Give me just a second. Looking to get some dietary advice when it comes to constipation and uterine fibroids. I have a 6-centimeter fibroid that flares up monthly, causing severe functional constipation despite treating the pelvic floor.
That one. Wow.
So yes, I'm gonna just jump in on this before I hand it to Miss LaToya. So here's the thing: nutrition can be amazing, but we sometimes have to dig deeper, right? So if you're making these nutrition changes, if you're doing these things, and that constipation just won't budge, I've been there. I've done everything. I'm drinking the juices, the water, the supplements. Then sometimes we have to dig a little bit deeper and get to the root of the problem. I know this is probably not what you want to hear, but we got to keep it 100. The constipation and the fibroids are not the root of the problem. Those, I repeat, those are not the root of the problem. That is your body giving you a check engine light, letting you know that something else is going on. So I just wanted to put that little tidbit in there, put that foundation in, and then I'm going to hand that on over. Thank you for the question, the Vagina Doc. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much spot on. You're right. The fibroids and constipation are just simply symptoms. They're symptoms of what your body is not doing. Your body is not excreting like it's supposed to. For starters, I would definitely recommend a high fiber diet. That's like one of the main things, a high fiber diet, but also making sure that you're incorporating fresh, organic fruits and veggies. Like you see, I'm literally drinking my juice right here. This juice right here keeps me regular, honey. I love my ABC juice. I make my own juice, and this is part of my fibroid healing journey, was to start making my own juices. I don't put any sugars, no additives in it. It's straight fruits and veggies. I also make my own smoothies. I don't add anything to it. I don't add any almond milk. I don't do regular milk. I don't add juice. I let it make its own consistency, but really incorporating those fresh fruits and veggies, really help, regulate you more often. But then there's a lot of other things you can do as far as fibroid related items, but you want to stay away from the fried foods and the sugars. You definitely want to stay away from all of that.
And I think it's important. We both said it. I'm going to say it a little louder for the people in the back. It is a symptom. It's not the root of the problem. And sometimes you're going to need some additional support to unpack the root of the problem. So thank you guys so much. It's been about an hour. So here's the deal. If you're catching the replay, give us that hashtag replay. Let us know if you have any questions. Also, I want to wrap this up on where can they find your freebies? So I've seen you over there with your ABC juice. I'm like, I know you're not trying to leave and not tell us where we can get some of those juice recipes. Like, I heard that there's an ebook. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about that ebook and then where they can find that freebie.
Yes. So I'm actually coming up with a full ebook, but I do have my free download. If you want to get 3 free juice recipes, fibroid fighting juice recipes, fibroid shrinking juice recipes, click the link in my bio. Once you click the link in my bio, you'll be able to download, enter your email address, be able to download the actual 3 free juice recipes. I am coming out with my actual juice book. That's within the next couple weeks, couple months. You guys are going to see that out there. Okay. So your free juice recipe, there's 3 juices you can get. I mean, I love them. It helps me, it helps with keeping me regular. But I just love the taste of it too. One thing that I try to do is when people say, well, I need to start eating healthier. For me, I'm not so much on the whole health kick, right? I don't really do diets. I never in my life did a diet. I don't do fads. One thing that I do, I really focus on finding healthy foods that I actually enjoy eating. Because when I have my cheat day, it's not really going to be that bad, right? So once you find healthy foods that you like, it's going to be automatic. It's just going to be organic. You're going to eat it regularly, and that just helps you even that much more. But yes, they can find my free download, and also my juice ebook recipe book's going to be coming out soon.
I love it. I love it. She said, do I hear free fibroid recipe book?
Yes,
you do. So go ahead and get that freebie so that you can be on the mailing list. When the hotness comes out, you will be the first to know. Thank you so much, LaToya. This has been amazing. We're definitely going to save this IG Live. I'll add you as a collaborator. here's the deal. If you guys are watching the replay, and even if you were here live, you know you want to go back and watch the replay because there was a lot of information here.
Yes.
But I am happy.
I didn't mean to be a baby, guys.
It's okay, honey. This is your IG. You can do what you want, right? So I'm excited to have you back. I'm excited for the partnership and definitely excited for July 15th.
Thanks, hon. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope to see you guys at the Run F.A.R 5K.
All right, you guys have a good
Have a great one, LJ. Thanks. Bye.